You've watched Harry Potter more times than you can count. Friends is basically background noise at this point. You know the exact moment Jim looks at the camera in the office. You can quote Michael Scott without thinking. And somehow you're hovering over Season 1, Episode 1, again. Your partner thinks something is wrong with you. Your Netflix algorithm has officially given up. Your kids are asking why you never watch anything made after 2015, and yet here you are, choosing the same story for the 10th, 20th, maybe 30th time. So what's really happening in your brain? Because despite what everyone thinks, this isn't about being stuck in the past. It's not about lacking imagination. And it definitely isn't because you can't handle new things. In fact, your brain is doing something surprisingly intelligent. Let's start with the obvious question. Why would anyone willingly watch something when they already know exactly how it ends? You know the jokes, you know the twists, you know who ends up together. Harry defeats Voldemort. Ross and Rachel get off the plane. Ferris gets his day off. You've emotionally survived all of this already. So what's the point? Here's the part most people miss. Knowing. What happens next is the entire point. Psychologists call this the mere exposure effect. It sounds boring, but it explains why you feel more emotionally attached to a sitcom from 2004 than to some people you actually live near. The more we're exposed to something, the safer and more likable it feels. Familiarity builds comfort. Comfort builds attachment. That's why your comfort show feels like home. When you rewatch, you're not chasing surprises. You're not looking for plot twists. You're building a cognitive blanket fort. Your brain is craving predictability in a world that feels aggressively unpredictable. Bad day at work? You know exactly how this episode resolves. Awkward social interaction. At least Chandler will make you laugh. Life throwing curveballs. Jim and Pam will still end up together. And here's a secret your brain doesn't advertise. It's working less when you rewatch. That sounds like an insult, but it's actually the appeal. Watching something new puts your brain into high alert mode. Who's this character? Why did they say that? Is this important or just bad writing? Is that lamp symbolic or meaningless? Your mind is constantly scanning for information. Rewatching, on the other hand, is cognitive cruise control. Your brain already knows the map. No effort, no vigilance. No emotional ambushes. Research has shown that rewatching familiar content creates a sense of control and safety. There are no shocking deaths. No betrayals that ruin your mood for a week. You already took the emotional hit once. Now you're just visiting old friends, but here's where it gets interesting. You're not actually watching the same thing twice. The show hasn't changed. But you have. Think about the first time you watched The Lion King. As a kid, you were Simba, running from responsibility. Later, you're Mufasa, suddenly aware of mortality. Watch it again as an adult, and you're crying 10 minutes in because you finally understand what legacy actually means. Same movie, different brain. The Matrix is another perfect example. First watch, cool fight scenes and slow-motion bullets. Later watches, an uncomfortably accurate metaphor for choosing comfort over truth. Same scenes, different psychological impact. Rewatching isn't repetition. It's reinterpretation. Your current life stage reshapes the story. New layers unlock. Old lines hit differently. What once felt funny now feels profound. What once felt dramatic now feels painfully real. And there's another layer most people don't talk about, the social one. Think back to when you first watched your favorite show. Maybe it was a weekly ritual with your family, back when you had to be home at a specific time. Maybe it was something you bonded over with a roommate. Maybe it was your entire personality for a year. These shows become time capsules. When you rewatch, you're not just revisiting the story. You're reconnecting with the version of yourself who first loved it. Sometimes you're also reconnecting with people who are no longer in your life. The friend who moved away. The parent who introduced you to that movie. The person you used to watch it with on the couch before life split you in different directions. Rewatching is comfort, but it's also remembrance. Sometimes it's joy, sometimes it's nostalgia. Sometimes it's grief wrapped in a familiar soundtrack. And your brain accepts all of it because it feels safe. Now let's talk about something very practical. Decision fatigue. By the time you sit down at night, Your brain is exhausted. You've made thousands of decisions already: what to eat, what to wear, which emails to answer, problems to ignore while pretending to be productive. Choosing a new show feels like work. What if it's bad? What if it starts strong and collapses after 3 episodes? What if everyone loves it and you hate it? What if it gets canceled and you're emotionally invested for nothing? Or you could just put on Good Will Hunting again and cry at the "it's not your fault" scene like a functioning adult. 0 risk, maximum comfort. Peak efficiency. From a psychological standpoint, that choice makes perfect sense. And here's the part that might make you feel seen. For many people, rewatching is emotional regulation. It's self-soothing. When the world feels chaotic, and let's be honest, when doesn't it helps to have something stable? Something where the emotional beats are predictable, where sadness is safe, where joy is guaranteed. Therapists have pointed out that familiar content can reduce anxiety by giving the brain a sense of control. It's like a weighted blanket, but for your nervous system. You know when the tension will rise. You know when it will resolve. You know exactly which scene will make you cry, and that's comforting. You're not avoiding new experiences. You're choosing emotional balance. So the next time someone judges you for watching the same movie for the 15th time, understand this: you're not stuck. You're not lazy. You're not boring. You're engaging in a psychologically healthy behavior that promotes calm, reinforces identity, and provides emotional stability through familiarity. Or you can just tell them to mind their business. That works too. New stories are great. Exploration is important. Growth matters. But there's nothing wrong with returning to the stories that shaped you. The ones that made you laugh when life was lighter. The ones that still make you cry, even when you know exactly what's coming. Your comfort show isn't a crutch. It's a companion, a reminder of who you were, who you are, and who you're becoming. A small piece of consistency in an inconsistent world. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have another appointment with Michael Scott. Again, and I regret nothing. If this hit home, subscribe. And if you want to support these deep dives, hit the join button. I genuinely appreciate it. I've got more videos lined up that I think you'll connect with. Same energy, different angle. See you there?